This is SimLab 2 trunking. So in this sim, the incident report is that host 1 cannot access any applications on server 1. So there's host 1 and server 1. So what we're going to do with all these labs is isolate the problem, fix it, and test. This is the current topology. There's two switches, switch 1 and switch 2. Switch 1 has 3 hosts. They could be desktops or laptops. And switch 2 has 2 servers with applications. So the first step is to start with a ping. So I'm going to ping from host 1 to server 1. So we'll select host 1 and then desktop. So this verifies layer 3 connectivity. That's at the OSI layer. So it'll send 4 ICMP requests from host 1 to server 1 and tell you how many were returned, as well as packet loss. So here 4 were sent, none received, so there's 100% loss. So next thing, since host 2 and host 1 are on the same VLAN, host 3 is on VLAN 11, I'm going to go to host 2 and determine if there's connectivity there. So it's going to do the same thing. It's going to send 4 ICMP requests. And after 4, the result is that there's 4 sent, 0 received, so 100% loss. So no layer 3 connectivity from host 2 either. So it isn't specific to the host, because neither host can connect to server 1 at layer 3. So now I'm going to drop down the OSI model to layer 2 and verify the operational status of switch 1 and switch 2 interfaces. So we'll start with switch 1 and select it in CLI, then enable. Then I'm going to use a very common command, show IP interface brief. This is on switch 1, so there's 3 interfaces. Host 1 is using 0.1, host 2 is using 2.1, and host 3 is using 3.1. So on 0.1, it is up and up, so there is layer 1 and layer 2 connectivity. And on 2.1, that's host 2, there is the same thing. It's operational, up and up. And 3.1 as well, so they're all operational. So we'll go to switch 2, make sure the server interfaces are operational. So we'll do the same thing. You have to resize this sometimes. So let's locate the interfaces. So for server 2 it's 2.1 and server 1 it's 1.1. So I want 1.1 specifically because that's server 1 and it's up and up. So 1.1, that's server 1, is up, and 2.1 is as well, so you can make note of that. So I know that the interfaces are all operational. So that only gets me to layer 1 and layer 2. So now, since this is host 1, is the incident report, I'm going to find the MAC address for host 1, because I want to know if it's in the table. So select host 1 and go ipconfig . Okay. So here there is 2 addresses. There's an IP6 linked local address because it's enabled. And there's an IP address 1.1, and that's correct. And standard class C subnet mask of /24. And the MAC address is the physical address. That's the 7EC02ED75. I'm going to make note of that. The ED75, remember that. So go to switch 1 then. go show MAC address table. And ED75 is there, so it's in the MAC address table, so that's good. It's on VLAN 10, and 01 is the correct interface. So everything is fine there. Then confirm VLAN assignments on switch 1. So I want to know if I've kind of done that already, but I'll go to switch 1 and verify the show running configuration to make sure that everything's fine there. There's VLAN 10 is configured. There's 01 interface, and it is connected to VLAN 10. And also you can go show VLAN brief. And there, if I go to VLAN 10, it says that 01 and 21 are assigned to VLAN 10, and they are active. So there's 01 and 21. So everything is fine there. They're on the correct VLAN. I'm going to go to servers, go into switch 2 and do the same thing, just to make sure, because server 1 is supposed to be in the same VLAN as host 1, that's 10, and server 2 is supposed to be in VLAN 11. So there's VLAN 10, and it's connected to 1.1. It's active for 1.1. And 1.1, as we know, is the server 1 interface. So server 1 is in VLAN 10, and that is correct. So what does 2.1 for server 2? 2.1 is active in VLAN 11. And that is correct. There's no routing here, so if something isn't in the same VLAN as a server, it's not going to have any connectivity. This is a trunk. There's no routing to do, inter-VLAN routing. So that everything, the VLANs are okay. That's all been confirmed. So now I'm going to look at the trunk itself. This is the trunk link. So I'm going to go show interfaces trunk. So the trunk mode is on, so that means it's a static trunk. It's 802.1q, that's the default. It is trunking. The native VLAN's 999, so it's not using the default. That's okay. So FA11, that's the 1.1 trunk interface that's connected to this switch too. So 1.1 is showing is allowing VLAN 11 and 12. And so that is the problem, because VLAN 11 is that one. This is 10. So it's not allowing VLAN 10, it's allowing 11 and 12. So that's a problem with the configuration. Go to switch 2, see what's going on there. And it's doing the same thing. There's the interface, the trunk interface is 01. So there it is there, and it's allowing 11 and 12. So it's allowing 11 but not 10, and 12 is not even a VLAN configured. So everything else is okay here. So that is the problem with it. So next thing to do is to go to switch 1. I'm going to change that then. So on interface FA11, okay. So and I'm going to go show run to make sure it works. Make sure the configuration is correct. There it is there, correct. 10 and 11. Do the same thing for switch 2. What's the interface on switch 2? The trunk is 01. Okay. I'll go show run. So it's 01. There it is. So that's okay. The next thing to do is to save it, because when it restarts you want it to be updated. Copy run to start, so yes. Go back to switch 1, do the same thing. So the start of configuration is updated. Okay, so that's fixed. Now we want to test it. So we'll go back to host 1 and ping. There it is. Replies. 1, 3, all 4. Host 2. Okay. So that verifies it works. As well, you could do this. You could test right up to layer 7 with the web browser. And it works. So that's on host 2. So I can get to a web page on server 1. Try it on host 1 as well. And that works as well. So I verified right up to OSI layer 7. So that verifies the problem. That concludes the lab, and the next lab will be static routing.